start with a simple question. What the heck is a broker?
We are still trying to figure that exactly out. No, a broker, if you're going to be a broker, you certainly have to embody the "we are here to serve" attitude. And, you know, the broker really cropped up early in the industry. I'd like to take my hat off to Mr. Steve Eli, who started a company in the early 1980s when we were going into retail stores and explaining what a broker is. I guess we're still explaining that, you know, 30-some years later. But Steve, thank you for hiring me and contributing to that. Everybody needs arms and legs in the streets. Whether they're going to deploy a direct sales force or a broker, you got to have someone battling on a day-in, day-out basis. I don't care if you're as firmly entrenched as Organic Valley Myth. If you're not in there battling for shelf position, you're going to see local regional companies or national companies coming in and encroaching on your territory. So every brand actually needs a shelf presence. They need help with promotions, managing their budgets, and really what has been a secret ingredient for presence marketing is a big spend and focus on retail execution. To us, that's where the magic is. So we started strategizing, and then our model was we wanted to innovate. We wanted to be a service company that was going to be here for our 20th, we've done it, our 25th, our 30th, and beyond. And we wanted to build a tactical plan and implement it and achieve that. Well, we knew we had to expand, but first we had to get creative because back in the day you wrote orders on a notepad. So you're in a store, you got finite resources, the buyer's busy, you're literally handwriting orders. You get up to about 35, 40 brands, you're out of time. So we launched Dynamic Presence, a sister company, in the mid-90s. So I think it was 96. So what that was for us was we needed people to know it was a presence house. Now we had 2 people calling on every store, separate principal lists, brands here, separate sales reps, separate managers, distributor account managers, but same kind of backroom services and finance and human resources. So it was like an efficient way to give manufacturers the attention, and that's what it was for us. Remember, if you're coming from a "we are here to serve" attitude, you mean it. The driver for us wasn't a conflict house, which it has served us very well in that regard too, but it really was just giving people the adequate resources they deserve. So dovetailing off of that, I had known Chris and Michelle Lobo for some years, hanging out at shows and hanging out afterwards sometimes, and thought they were lovely people. And we decided we were going to expand in the center of the country, so we started talking, and we developed a partnership. That was about 13 or 14 years ago. Put an office right here in Boulder. Then we partnered also in the Southwest, because our thing was we'll take the center of the country, we'll figure out how to expand like that, we'll do it in an efficient manner, and then we'll leverage off of that when the time is right. So the time wasn't right for a long time, guys. It just wasn't right. I mean, we waited until we saw the opportunity, and it came in 2006. We had our moment. The industry has really matured. We're not growing at 6, 7, 8%. We're starting to see mid-teens growth rates on a very mature business. We saw the proverbial tipping point in multiple categories and with the industry as a whole. So we decided we're going to go open up the coast. So California we tackled in the first quarter of 2007. So we put a team in Southern California. We were going to take 2 years to build up to Seattle. I'm going to condense a little bit here, but East Coast was calling. Advantage, a national broker who doesn't have kind of the same culture. NSS and Advantage are great companies, you guys, but they don't have the same kind of culture that this room does or that we do. And we knew that. So they bought a cool company like us, Bin. They bought Bin, and I was like, okay, that is going to be a train wreck. And sure enough, they bought them in November 2006, and our phone started ringing off the hook. We saw an opportunity, so I took a right turn at somewhere around Pasadena, and I'm like, we're going east, wagons east, baby. And we went right after these guys. We're the kinder, gentler broker. We don't solicit for business, we don't go after our competitors. In that case, I got my Don hat on, okay? We went after those guys. And we took 38 other people and 40 other brands between May and December, and we were in business on the East Coast. So that year, we had buttons printed in a Manic script that said, we're going coastal. That's how we felt. And we went from 80 employees, to 163. So we became a national company in 2007. That was our most pivotal year, and that's what really got us going on this scale building. So we spent a lot of time really identifying what really comes into making a great company. And it kind of differs by industry, class of trade, etc. In our model, it's really tough because it's service, and you've got hundreds of companies you're working with on the brand side, and then you've got thousands of retailers, you've got distributors all over the place. There's so many moving parts. We're the only part of the matrix that interacts with everybody on a regular basis. We work with everybody on a regular basis. So again, there's so much. If you're not doing this, and if you're someone in the brokerage business, you're either doing this or you're doing Cirque du Soleil, because you want a bunch of plates in the air spinning. And so we combined what were some of our founding principles, which is like the power of intention. It's something more esoteric, but very real ingredients of our success. Power of intention, I witnessed many times, was bigger in many respects than what we're doing on a daily basis. I can't tell you how many moments it was like, we don't have enough money to pay for this. Can't do it. You know, Christine, it's not going to happen. I mean, look, phone rings, new brand, money comes in, it's paid. I mean, untold numbers for hundreds of times. I mean, that kind of stuff would happen. And so having the willfulness, the power of intention aligned, and really throwing all in. And understanding that, guess what? I don't mind people who say on my management team, you know what, failure is not an option, because it's a rallying cry. I get it. Guess what? Failure is an option. It is always an option, and you better believe it. I think the first is most people don't know what grade is. You know, they just don't. And so identifying what it is and making sure your team gets it. So I can tell you, even when I figured out what grade was and what it meant in our company, my team was not necessarily singing off the same sheet of music. And some were, and some were not. And I could tell by the answers I was getting, which would sometimes be like, maybe you should review your expectations. You know? And so I'm an Irish guy, you know, I'm a lover, but I'm also a fighter, you know, so I would make it really clear when someone would say that to me, that they need to get on board. They need to get on board and understand what we're aligning behind here, which is the true pursuit of greatness. And if you're going to do it, you got to get on board 100%. But I think it starts with things like, first of all, identifying what great is, building in those components and those goals, and then here's one I think is massive: conscious language. This is critical because language is the most powerful tool that we all have. And I can't tell you how often, just watch the news. You know, a baby got run over by a train. It's what people watch. There was an explosion. Like 95% of what happens in the world is great. And what you hear about in the news is all the disasters and all the negative stuff. I joke that I would start a news channel and our ratings would be horrible. I would be like, so yeah, our lead story is like this guy came home and he like gave his daughter a puppy. Yeah. There's something as simple as, I'll use this example. There is we got a problem guy, right? Hey man, we got a problem. And I call the person affectionately the passive manic person. And then there's the, hey, we got a challenge here. I'll take that guy all day long because, you know, mobilizing, right? We got to get our energy up. We got to go out and make something happen. Which we evolve to is the, hey guys, we have an opportunity here. People are like, whoa, this dude has his stuff together, because I can tell by posture, body language, we got something we got to fix here. But that's how you bring people together, conscious language. Try it at home too. You know, you come home. I learned how to like literally emotionally transmute the energy, because we used to have a lot of bad news coming our way, you know, these consolidations and whatnot. I learned how to get a good vibe, how to go from incident to resolution in literally a matter of minutes. Colorado initiative. And was it Rick who presented that? Is Rick here? Is Rick in the room?
I don't think he's here.
Rick who presented the argument for the California, or for the Colorado ballot initiative. Because Rick started out, like seriously, the first 2 minutes I was like, you know, snoozing, and then he just killed it, man. This guy really got me. I was 100% on board at the end of that. I was like, this guy was friggin' awesome, and he is right on the money. And guess what? We're voting with our dollars in Colorado. We are also, David Bronner and I have become great friends, and I've been talking about Oregon for a while too, and we're on board with Oregon too. So my original thought was $200K to Oregon, and then $50K for maybe national concerns and some manpower hours. Well, I decided that what we're out Peter to pay Paul thing, we've got a $2 million investment fund this year, you know, to fund companies, emerging companies, and veteran companies. We're going to take some money from there, so we're going to go 200K to Colorado. We're going to do 200K to Oregon, and they're both going to run. Let's face it, guys. Let's just say that they are both going to run. We got to raise $12 million. We got to raise $12 million. These are both going to run. We have to get our game plan synced up, and I think we have a really good chance to win in one or both. It's the attitude you got to take to this. We're also going to give, I'm calling it the 500-500 club. We're going to give $500,000, 200, each of these, 100,000 to a national coalition, which we'll talk about. And then we're going to give 500 manpower hours too. So we're going to have people on the street, on the ground here, and count on Chris, Michelle to mobilize our teams here to really do some great work. Same with our teams in Pacific Northwest. But I want to just say, if other companies stepped up, like we are, like David Bronner, who I think is I got to tell you, I think the single most influential guy in all of this. I really do.
Stand up, Dave.
What it takes to be successful is critical. We've got to figure out where that starts. There are great people in the industry like Bob Burke, James Curley, industry advisors. I would love a lot of them to start there, because what happens with us? I mean, we were Shark Tank before Shark Tank. I mean, we don't go after business. We just do our thing. Literally, we have, for every 100 companies that come to us, and it includes the slam dunks like Golden Branch buys people, and they say, "You guys in?" Like counting that, we turned down like 98 out of 100 that approach us. And a great reason for that is most of them are not prepared. I can tell you, of that 98% that we turned down, and it's many, many hundreds of brands on an annualized basis, 90% of them are not going to be in business 2 or 3 years down the road. So I would love to figure out how we can get these younger entrepreneurs. I want to go with my dollars. We invested, we need to figure out how to be in the business long term. We want family business brokerage. We want to be here, again, we've got our 25th next year. Big party at my house, you're all going to be invited. So we want to be here for 30, 35, 40, and yeah, we already have the talent in the pipeline. We have the position to do it. We've got to figure out the strategies, but really, we get to figure out another way to build an economic infrastructure to take care of all our people long term. I'm not going to have people working for me for 20, 30, 40 years and not having a handsome retirement. So for us, it became investing in brands. And we first started swapping service for equities. We started that about 7 years ago. Sequel was our first. And we said, hey, we'll work for you for 3 years, we'll get some options, convert them when there's an event. It's been wildly successful for us. Then as our cash flow position grew, we started investing money. So we're Mamachia's largest investor. We're a major investor in Suja, Go Picnic, Justin's Nut Butters, and the list goes on and on. We've got a great number of companies that we've invested in. That has allowed us the luxury of looking at the service model, not as, hey, someday we got to sell this in order to take care of our people. We just are going to continue to build. It was 40 new jobs last year. It's going to be 50 or 60 this year. But I want to say yes to more of these younger entrepreneurs. We invested $4.5 million last year alone in brands, presence marketing. Okay? I can't do it. I can't do it when I have these young upstarts come to me and they're not ready for battle. And I see that all the time. So we've got to figure out, I'm happy to be part of the solution, our company to be part of the solution, how we can get these bright young minds in a position where they are going to be able to compete and potentially win. Chocolate is powerful. It's more than here to stay. The trend lines are going to keep going like this. I look to the care of you so you know how happy I am that chocolate is here. Probiotics, really, more sophisticated strains that survive gastric juices and do the intended job, and different applications like in food. Probiotics have been around forever. Hitting a tipping point right now, you guys. We're seeing big movement in that category. Non-nutritive sweeteners. I don't like any personally. I don't like stevia, Mumford, or erythritol. I just don't like them. We don't buy them, I don't use them. But I will say, those are sound. They're relatively sound in human nutrition. And you're going to see those all over the map in products, complicated consumer products, and also sets built up that aren't just honey and maple syrup anymore, but are also a variety of these non-nutritive sweeteners that are healthier alternatives. I believe this, you guys. I believe you got to take full responsibility for everything. It's kind of like the old Warner Earhart S train stuff, but it really is. I know, right? April days. But really, it is like that. I would start to notice this, like a brand would call me, like get smile, you know what, Bill? I'm not really happy with the turnaround time with your California division. You're not calling me back right away. There's issues, this, that. So I would come to my particular manager, and I would get stuff like this. The regional manager doesn't know what they're doing. They lose the paperwork, this, that. They're nice to indulge in what I call stories, right? So now I just say, okay, that's just all ingredients. So we got to fix it. Like that's my bottom line. I don't care what this stuff is. I care that you understand that the next time I talk to that person, I want to say, you know what? California is rotten. That's that whole thing. It dovetails into conscious language, which is also, by the way, solution-oriented language. And it's just own it. We own everything. You can come to me screaming, Jamie Hoffman, Emma's gonna do a fist fight with her husband, the CEO. Janie's the CEO of Mama Chia, and Janie does not mince any words, man. Me and Janie are going at it, man. And we are great. She said we love those and avocados now. But I allow that, man. In the context of a healthy relationship, you've got to be able to be impassioned and you've got to own your stuff. And guess what? It's all your stuff.